want to thank my colleague from California and the Rules Committee for reporting this rule that will allow us, for the first time, to have federal guidelines for the protection of children while they're in school. And it is important that we strive to keep all children safe while they're in school. And I'm honored to have worked with and thank her so much for her cooperation, Congresswoman Cathy McMorris Rodgers, who was so instrumental in bringing this bill together and bringing all various parts of the discussion on this legislation together to help us draft the legislation. Not everybody agrees with it, but we have had wonderful cooperation and support from very many parts of the educational community, recognizing that for the actions to continue that have put so many children in danger and have harmed so many children, without having an accurate reporting system, without having the proper training of teachers. Teachers very often are put in a very, very difficult position with respect to what to do. But we cannot have the children being taped to their chairs, children having duct tape put around their mouths, children being locked into dark closets or even smaller spaces for multiple hours of the day, for multiple days of the week, so that they can establish the comfort in the classroom. That's not the right treatment of that child. And if you're doing it over and over and over again, and you're not changing the behavior, you're not getting the outcomes, you might want to rethink that policy. But tragically, that's not happening in too many areas. Yes, there are some state regulations in this area, but they're very incomplete, they're spotty. Some only address one school population, one particular disability maybe, or a particular age group, but not others. But we cannot have, and as the GAO tragically made so graphic to our committee, you cannot have very young children treated in this way. We were presented with the most graphic case of students who died while they were placed in seclusion, while they were placed in improper uses of restraint. If I could ask the gentleman for 2 additional minutes.
I yield the gentleman from California 2 additional minutes.
The gentleman from California has 2 additional minutes.
That we met with the parents and the caregivers of those children. And here's the final touch, that in many instances these children were treated this way over and over and over again, and their parents, guardians were never notified. In many instances, the first time they realized that what was going on is when the child, in a very traumatic way, refused to go back to school, was frightened to go back to school. Some of these children have never really been able to return to a regular school setting. They've lost the trust in people in those settings. Or a teacher might venture out and quietly tell a parent that something is wrong in your child's classroom or the way your child's being behaved. That is not the kind of notification that parents are entitled to, and it's not the kind of notification that people believe gives them the authority to engage in this abusive behavior. And also, we know that in a number of instances, medications were used without the involvement of a doctor, without the okay of the parent, without checking with the authorities prior to that. We do recognize that in particular cases, a child may be a threat to him or herself, may be a threat to another student or to a teacher or to other school personnel, and we do allow them to take actions in that particular case. But the idea that this ad hoc theory of locking kids in closets while they soil themselves, while they're denied food, while they're denied water. Let's look at what this bill does. This bill says you can't deny water, you can't deny food, you can't deny them access to bathroom facilities. That's kind of basic, isn't it, in the treatment of a child? And think of what happens to a child when that is done. And we're not always talking somehow about a worldly teenager here. We're talking about many instances very young children, children in many, many instances with disabilities who may not be able to communicate clearly, and we cannot allow us to proceed against those children without a policy being in place that protects the children and notifies the parents. And I yield back my time. And again, I want to thank the gentleman and the Rules Committee for reporting this rule.